What's going through your mind right now?
It's very sad. See, when I dissociate myself from this, I can do okay, but when I let myself go, I can't.
So,
And it's going to get worse when I'm 75.
There were reports that Lionel Dahmer once said his son was sexually abused by a neighbor. Lionel told me he has no knowledge of that.
And of course, you woke up at what, 8 this morning?
Right.
And then you cleaned up your apartment really nicely so you could show us what it looks like?
Yeah, I want you to come over if you feel like it. I haven't done any dusting or vacuuming or anything. I do that on Sundays. But,
Last Thanksgiving, he wanted to show us his apartment. And we went to the apartment. It was meticulously neat.
did everything look normal to you?
I even said to him, Jeff, you're keeping a beautiful house. It was clean, it was spotless, it was neat. There was nothing there.
Another guest on Geraldo provides a glimpse of Dahmer's family life, like how his mother felt about her sons.
She definitely despised David. She called him her nemesis, and she said Jeff was just no damn good. Those are her words.
A few weeks after Dahmer savaged Hicks here, we have learned he underwent a psychiatric examination as part of his parents' divorce proceeding. A lawyer who reviewed that psychiatric examination has told Channel 7 News that Dahmer was diagnosed as normal, despite having just killed for the first time. The divorce court file examined in Akron, Ohio by Eyewitness News reveals that the entire Dahmer family underwent a psychiatric evaluation, that Dahmer's father accused the mother of, quote, extensive mental illness, that Jeffrey and his brother told investigators they feared certain conduct by their father and that he should leave their home. And so amidst a bitter divorce, Dahmer's father moved into this hotel. His mother took their other child and fled to relatives in Wisconsin. Jeffrey Dahmer was left here alone, and because of it, Stephen Hicks became the first of 17 murder victims.
His father wonders if it was a neighbor's sexual abuse. Jim Avila has been checking into that story all day, and now he reports live from Ohio. Jim?
Bill, we're live outside Jeffrey Dahmer's backyard where the excavation work continued today. Police did find 2 more bones, but they're also digging into Jeffrey Dahmer's past, trying to find out why he may have started killing. They're investigating everything from the Dahmer's parents' divorce to occult worship here in the backyard, and in now a new revelation, charges that Dahmer was abused sexually as a child. Ohio prosecutors confirmed they are checking but find no record of any molestation of Jeffrey Dahmer as a child.
No, not at this time. Our investigation hasn't turned up anything of that nature.
Police are also investigating Jeff Dahmer's aggression with the occult. In among the bones found the past 2 days are animal skeletons. Prosecutors say neighbors have told police of finding sacrificed animals and have turned in pictures of the discoveries to police.
It's my understanding that they have pictures of animals that were killed. And it appears that the killing was in some type of ritualistic process, if you will.
Jeffrey Dahmer, shown here in his prom date outfit, Wyatt Earp tie and all, was a high school oddball, and to his only teenage girlfriend, he was a frightening young man. Bridget Geiger went to the Revere High School senior prom as Jeff Dahmer's date. She was a sophomore, he was a senior. The prom date went fine. Dahmer was quiet and polite. But later at his parents' house, where police have now found human bones buried in the backyard, Geiger says she ran for her life as Dahmer and her friends called a seance and tried to talk to Satan.
They decided to hold this seance, and I was brought up Catholic, and we were told you don't challenge the occult. I've always been brought up this way. You don't challenge things like this. We think they do exist, but you just don't mess around with them.
Geiger says the group went to a dark den in the house, gathered in a circle, and just as they thought they had made contact, Geiger was spooked.
And the candle, all of a sudden, it snapped and sparked and popped, and I don't recall it looking like anybody blew it out. I didn't like this. I'm like, find the lights, I'm out of here now. This is not funny if it's a joke. And I went and stood across the street, I don't know how long, and they said when they were done, they could come out and get me.
Prosecutors are not taking Dahmer's dabbling into the occult as a joke either. In fact, they do admit that they are investigating heavily because they want to find out not only what may have caused him to do this, but they also want to be prepared, if there is a trial, that Dahmer not enter any of this information, including the abuse information, as a defense. Prosecutors say that no matter what Dahmer comes up with, they believe he's guilty of murder here in Ohio. We're live in Bath, Ohio. I'm Jim Avila, Channel 2 News.
Thank you, Jim. What's in the mind of a serial killer? Elsewhere in Ohio tonight, police are reopening the file on a murder case they have never solved, wondering whether Dahmer was the one who killed and mutilated a young man in Columbus in 1986. Dahmer attended Ohio State University there in 1978, and police think he may have returned to Columbus from time to time. Other chilling memories from Dahmer's past are still very much alive in Ohio tonight. Memories of a prom date, a seance, and a ghost. Channel 2's Jim Avila tells us that Dahmer may have participated in satanic worship.
Before there were bones in the backyard, there were ghosts in the bedroom. That's what Jeffrey Dahmer told high school friends. His only teenage girlfriend, seen with Dahmer just before their high school prom in 1978, says Jeffrey was a frightening young man. She'll never forget the party at his house where no food, no drinks were served. The only thing on the menu was a spiritual call to the devil.
They decided to hold this seance, and I was brought up Catholic, and we were told you don't challenge the occult. The plan had been to call this guy that supposedly haunted his house.
In fact, Dahmer's high school prom date calls him an oddball and never saw him again after the seance spooked her out of the house and out of the relationship.
Some guy says, no, let's try to get Lucifer, that'd be even better. And the candle, all of a sudden, it snapped and sparked and popped, and I don't recall it looking like anybody blew it out. I didn't like this. I'm like, find the lights, I'm out of here now.
Prosecutors are taking Dahmer's brushes with the occult seriously. Along with the human bones found on this property are dozens of animal bones. And police have pictures provided by neighbors of animals who were brutally sacrificed in Dahmer's huge backyard.
It appears that the killing was in some type of ritualistic process, if you will.
Were the pictures taken here on this property?
That is what Bath has been told.
Prosecutors say they are investigating Dahmer's dabbling in the occult just in case it becomes a foundation for an insanity plea. Jim Avila, Channel 2 News, Bath Township, Ohio.
Is it that led him to become a serial killer? Our news has obtained a copy of Jeffrey Dahmer's probation report. It paints a devastating picture of Dahmer, a picture of a man deeply troubled, struggling with severe emotional problems. The probation records just out reveal that Dahmer was a victim of sexual abuse as a child, that he has struggled with sex problems ever since. Channel 2's Jay Levine has taken a closer look at that report and is live in Milwaukee with more about what he found. Jay?
Walter, Jeffrey Dahmer was watched closely by authorities ever since he pled guilty to a sex charge back in May of 1989. Now, I've spent the day going over this probation report, and in it found any number of hints of trouble.
The 16 months leading up to Jeffrey Dahmer's arrest and apparent confession were marked by both physical and emotional deterioration. The observations of his probation officer contained in this 100-page file obtained by Channel 2. In November of 1989, while still spending nights and weekends in jail, he was found to be drinking. In April of 1990, a month after his release on probation, he frequently missed appointments with his probation officer. He repeatedly had to be threatened with arrest warrants. At the same time, his father told authorities Dahmer had been abused by a neighbor boy at the age of 8. After his release from prison, Dahmer lived with his grandmother in West Allis, but his erratic behavior there led family members to ask him to leave. That's when he got the apartment on 25th Street, and his usually neat appearance disappeared. He appears very depressed, the probation officer noted, talking about problems with sexual identity. He knows he prefers male partners, but says he is not involved in any sexual activities. The next month, the report says, his appearance has gone way down. Still depressed, he talked about suicide. He also had severe financial problems, tried to borrow money. The probation officer asked if he was involved with someone or picking up guys. Dahmer said no. By early 1991, he admits he is gay, but appears disheveled, unshaven, and is asked about drinking. By July 8th, he fears being fired from his job for lateness and missing work. A week later, he overslept, went to work late, and was fired. A week before his arrest, he admits to drinking again.
The probation officer then warned Dahmer that his sexual problems went hand in hand with his bouts of alcoholism. And indeed, it appears tonight that his final murder spree coincided with the fact that he was once again drinking. We're live in Milwaukee. I'm Jay Levine, Channel 2 News. Walter?
Connection to one of the victims, Ernest Miller. He was one of the last to be identified, and tonight we now know that Miller lived in Chicago at the time of his death. Somehow his path crossed with serial killer Jeff Dahmer when Miller traveled to Milwaukee to visit relatives. Channel 2's Elaine Tack has the story.
This is a picture Ernest Miller's family took of him the last time he was home in Milwaukee in September of 1990. Now, the only way police were able to identify the 24-year-old was through dental records.
He's nice, outgoing. He liked to party.
According to his aunt, Vivian Miller, after growing up in Milwaukee, Ernest moved to Chicago in 1989. He told her he was living at the YMCA downtown. Ernest Miller last came home to Milwaukee Labor Day weekend 1990. He told relatives he was very happy in Chicago. He had made a new life for himself. They were shocked when he disappeared before the weekend was over.
He got dressed and, he left and he never came back anymore.
It is clear Jeffrey Dahmer met Ernest Miller in Milwaukee. What is not clear is how or where they met.
Dahmer told police he offered them $50 and a beer. The drug dealers in Dahmer's neighborhood say he bought cocaine, not for personal use, but as bait for potential victims. A Milwaukee social worker says that theory makes more sense.
How big was drugs? What type of drugs was used? You're not talking about money if you're not talking about $500, $600, or $700. They is not going to go anywhere for a beer.
And later on in this broadcast, how state officials may have provided Jeffrey Dahmer with the drugs he allegedly used on his victims. We'll have an exclusive report from our Unit 5's Peter Carl.
We humbly ask you to comfort your servants in their grief.
Father Peter Burns led a short prayer for the youngest identified victim of Jeffrey Dahmer, 14-year-old Monarch Simpson, as his family came to grips with the loss of their son. Burns, the family spokesman, says ceremonies like this one are important.
From my personal experience, it's well needed to begin the process of healing and to begin to allow the death to be real and to say, yes, it has happened.
Found out that a 14-year-old kid runs out the house naked with his behind bleeding, and some people see that and they call the police, and the police don't do nothing about it and put the kid back in the killer's hands. I don't understand that at all.
That is a sentiment shared by many tonight as people in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and all around the nation, for that matter, respond to the latest shocking developments in a gruesome mass murder case. Good evening. Glad you're with us. 3 Milwaukee police officers suspended tonight. They are accused of failing to protect the boy who ran naked from Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment a couple of months ago, screaming for help. As reporter Ann Cavanaugh tells us, police allegedly handed the boy back over to Dahmer.
Members of the Milwaukee Police Department had contact with the accused Jeff Dahmer and the victim. This is a matter of grave concern to me and the entire department.
On May 27th, 2 women saw 14-year-old Monarch Simpson running naked and bleeding away from Jeffrey Dahmer. They called police and pleaded with them to make an arrest. Milwaukee police brushed them off.
He turned around and told her, "Look, don't mind your own business. I've been investigating for 15 years.
Dahmer apparently convinced police he and the boy were having a lover's spat. Monday, Monarch was found in Dahmer's apartment, his youngest victim.
His life was saved. Police gave it back into Dahmer's hands.
The Milwaukee police chief has suspended the 3 officers involved in the incident and has called for a full investigation. But that's little comfort for Monarch's parents and 7 brothers and sisters.
I have no other comments.
The family came to Milwaukee from Laos in 1980. This is their second painful encounter with Jeffrey Dahmer in less than 3 years. In 1988, Dahmer was convicted of fondling Monarch's brother. Dahmer was placed on probation for that offense. Since then, he's had more contact with Milwaukee police. In September of 1988, a man he picked up accused Dahmer of stealing his wallet and jewelry. No charges were filed. Later that year, Dahmer was the victim of a battery that was also reported to police. In September of 1990, Dahmer was held up at gunpoint at a bus stop. Police questioned him about the incident in his apartment. Thursday, the police chief said no one could go in that apartment and not notice something was wrong. Today, he appeared shaken at the thought Jeffrey Dahmer slipped through his police force's hands time and time again.
I am taken aback by this information. And I would reiterate that the department and I extend our personal condolences to all of the victims and their families.
Ann Kavanaugh, Fox News, Chicago.
Maybe he got mad at us that my other brother put him, in jail so the police can arrest him that time, and then so he just follow up, okay, I know this guy, how his last name.
Until this year, this block of neat single-family homes was Konak's entire world. His family says it's only after he started high school that the boy started to explore the wider Milwaukee. But now the teenager was free to hang out at the Grand Avenue Mall, where he met Jeffrey Dahmer, the man who had made his own brother a victim. Monarch hadn't been taught to fear Dahmer because police told the family the man wouldn't harm them in the future.
The police officer, they told us that they're gonna put him away for good, and then he's not gonna be able to be on the street, do this bad thing again. That's what they told us.
The Chicago Police Department acknowledged today it heard rumors that a serial killer was stalking the gay community on our own city's north side. Word began spreading 6 weeks ago that gay young men were missing from the area. One was 23-year-old Jeremiah Weinberger, who is among the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer. Police say even though they heard the rumors, there was no hard evidence to back any of it up.
We base what we do on facts, on reported crime, and we really didn't see anything to qualify those rumors.
Some residents complained that the police ignored the rumors because they were coming from the gay community, a charge that authorities deny. Police say there were similar rumors last November when a dismembered body was found in the 4300 block of North Kenmore. Authorities have ruled out any connection in that death to Jeffrey Dahmer. Marianne.
Joel, the wife of a popular suburban teacher, will undergo court-ordered...
Slide by that, were real obvious to other people, and they didn't pay any attention to it.
Do you think they let it slide by because it involved the gay community?
They always do.
Other gays say the Milwaukee murders are casting the whole gay community in an unfairly negative light.
They think that we're a bunch of child molesters, and we run around and do it with everybody that we possibly can do it with. And that's not true. That is not true in any way, shape, or form. I was in the United States Navy for over 8 years, had a good time in the service, and had a lover, and got along great, got out with honorable discharge, and I have no problems. No problems. It's just people with narrow minds that basically don't believe in the homosexual community.
And the media included?
In a way, yeah. Very much so.
Media coverage is having an unexpected effect on the gay community. We're told by a number of proprietors here on Wells Street that the presence of TV cameras is discouraging business, something that was never intended when this story started. Reporting live from Wells Street, I'm Charlie Wojciechowski.
It is interesting to note that Milwaukee police trust that Dahmer is being honest now. They have so much faith in his confessions and that they are true, that they are notifying the next of kin that they have lost a loved one without ever finding those victims' bodies. Live in Milwaukee, I'm Elizabeth Vargas, Channel 2 News.